Hello, and welcome to the third episode of the Bass Solo podcast. Today, I'm gonna be talking a little bit about, the same things as last week, but an update. So, my practicing schedule, a little bit of a song cover project I had last week, and maybe some gear stuff, maybe some other practicing things. And first of all, before I start doing a little music thing as I do, I would like to say if you're listening to me on Spotify, you can also find me on YouTube, where there's this podcast and other content. And if you're on YouTube, you can find this podcast on Spotify also. So, let's get right down to the music part. Yeah, that was a little chord progression thing I made up. I think last night when I tried to record this podcast for the first time, and it didn't really go anywhere. Now I have a bit of a plan for today, and let's see if I can keep to it. But yeah, so there was a lot of stuff going on last week, and it has concluded during the past week. I started talking about my practicing routine, and wanted to give you listener a little bit of a new piece of training I'm doing at the moment, trying to combine different ways of thinking about the melodic minor modes and also doing the 4-finger technique thing that I've been working on for a while. So, as I showed you in the first episode, I played a little bit of the all the C major modes in sequence. So now started doing that with the melodic minor, C melodic minor in this situation, and also combining it with playing it in a way, thinking it in 16th notes in a usually a pretty slow tempo, thinking of it, getting all the 4 fingers to do one of the 16ths, and well, yeah, just warming up and practicing the moving throughout, first of all the modes and then the strings, and then moving to the next mode and trying to and moving up the neck and then coming back down. And you might, if you want to know about this exercise, you can hear about it in a major context in the first episode. But yeah, I'm probably gonna give you a little bit of a taste of what I mean here. So it's C melodic minor in thirds. Yeah, so a little bit of a little bit of a fumbling there in the first, but yeah, so I'm climbing on the C minor mode through all of my 6 strings on this bass, and then coming back down all the strings on the next mode, the D, and then the E flat mode again up. And I usually do that throughout the whole all of the modes, so I climb up until the 12th fret, and then if I have time I might do it again, but in a reverse order, coming back down. But yeah, haven't done much of a warming up today. Didn't really practice yet today. Had a couple of long lessons going on throughout the day, so sounded kind of awful, but it usually gets at least a bit better than that. The 4 fingers are quite annoying to get like in a full working order, and I've been trying to concentrate on playing slower, more methodically methodically and really thinking about all the notes I'm playing in a sense that what they actually sound like, how my right hand is playing them, so that, for example, the ring finger would sound pretty much the same as the thumb, which is the strongest finger, I think, in this configuration. Yeah, that was my thumb and ring finger. Now it felt a little bit better, but it doesn't have that much stamina. So just doing that was pretty difficult. Maybe a little bit too fast, I have to say. Should concentrate and do it slower. But yeah, stuff like that's been going on in the technique training method that came around in the couple days before now, so I haven't been doing that the whole week, but I have been training the four finger technique before. And what comes to the practice routine. So last week I said I missed a couple of days on the first week of the new training regime and cycle, and now the second week has passed and the first cycle has ended. So dramatic. But yeah, and on the second week, yes, I did probably lose a couple of whole days of practicing the schedule for a project I did last week for my own amusement. So yeah, I did spend the time on the instrument, so it's not completely wasted, obviously, but I didn't follow the regime, my new training thing. So that's kind of bumming me out right now. I need to put the work to be able to keep my training schedule going on, so it goes forward all the time. And then if I do additional projects, that needs to like slide in somewhere. And I really want to keep the training schedule in mind. I think it's really important now to keep doing these basics every day and getting them really into my playing, all of these scales harder and easier, and all of these I'm training all these 2-5-1s and to do this and train on my note reading and ear playing. It's also so important, and when I have a training schedule like I have now and a set clear goal to go in what I need to learn right now, I think it's really important to keep a hold of that. Even though music is it can be just like playing all the fun stuff, and I try to say that spending time with the instrument is the most important thing, and obviously it is, but when you're trying to do music like professionally, I think I think everyone needs to do at least a little bit of the things they don't necessarily want to do at least some point in their career. Gotta learn those scales, or gotta learn note reading, or gotta even do some gigs at some point in your career, and then you get yourself in a point where if it isn't your style and you actually hate it, you might have the chance to not have to do it, because you get to dictate what you do in your career, obviously. But probably at some point you're gonna have to do some stuff in music that you don't care about as much. And I think that's just the reality of it at some points. Yeah, and I'm probably so melodramatic right now, but I don't mean it that this schedule I'm practicing I'm doing is actually hard, or that there's a lot of it per day. I think last week I also said that it's only a 3-hour schedule for each day. That is quite a lot of practicing, but there's still a lot of work hours in a day, and my days aren't very filled right now because, well, I'm not going to gigs, don't really have band practices, don't have big group musical productions right now. So it's really not a problem to spend those hours on the instrument and even some more. So I'm not afraid that I'm not gonna do this at all, even if I want to do some other projects. I just need to get my head straight on the fact that I need to schedule these things and think about that at least I do the 3 hours, and then some of the other projects I want to do, and if it takes a couple of days more to get that additional project done, then that's it. That's okay. As long as I do the practicing I have scheduled for the day. That's a really important thing to me. So yeah, that's kind of the practice rant of today. Although I haven't done the practice routine for this day, but then again, it's only something over 4 right now as I'm recording this. So I have hours to. I have time for today too, even though I had those big lessons. Yeah. So, why did I miss a couple of days of practice last week? Well, it's not a surprise. I totally spoiled it last week. I was talking about the Anthony Jackson bass line I was learning. So I finished that in a couple of days and then did a YouTube video cover on it that you can find on my channel, Severi Lehtimäki on YouTube. It's a Michel Camilo song, One More Once. Bassist, Anthony Jackson. And, well, the main part of the song it's not the most difficult. It's the song is a basic. The chord progression is a pretty normal G major blues. But there's I think it's like a Michel Camilo big band record. There's a lot of members going on, but Anthony Jackson finds himself a lot of good moments at the ends of the progression to do some pretty fast licks and fills while keeping the 6-string massive bass Paul muted the whole time. It's one of those songs in his stylings. So those were the most difficult things to learn, I have to say, definitely. So like just to demonstrate the muting, the basic bass line goes like. And a little something at the end. But yeah, lots of the palm muting just going on everywhere. And he does it really well with his massive string spacing and all that, and he has trained for years. But what really intrigued me on the song with the fast, including with the fast fills and cool stuff like that, was the fact that I'm playing a Dingwall 6-string bass as my main instrument. So it's a multiscale. So I really tried to, in addition to playing well in good time and all that in the song, I really tried to find the best muting spots on all of my strings, obviously. But the hard thing is, as a multiscale, it changes. I need to, as I'm moving my hand up and down to go through the strings, because obviously you can't mute all of the strings at once, and with a real palm mute. But I also had to move the hand a little bit left to right, so that the upper strings, if I just go straight up and down, the part that's the lower strings, how do I say it? On the parts where the lower strings are nicely muted, there, if I go straight down, I stop being on the string by like the D string. Oh, D string is a little bit, but there is no mute on the G string, as you might understand if you look at a picture of a Dingwall or play a multiscale instrument yourself. So I really tried and had to figure out a little bit of a new technique thing of doing this song and keeping the palm mute going on, even on the faster things. So that was pretty interesting. Wouldn't have really thought of it myself, I think. Well, obviously palm muting isn't a technique you need all the time, but I do really enjoy the technique. But in my own riffs and jam sessions I do, where I'm just playing, as you hear in this podcast, on my own, I don't really do that type of movement. It really, I think it was a really good thing to find a playing style and the mindset of someone who plays the 6th string, but obviously thinks in a whole different manner, such as Mr. Anthony Jackson. So now that I have studied his bass line, I'm really thinking about the 6th string bass in a different way now, where I need to, if I'm to play a multiscale bass, I really need to try out and lock on to the sweet spots on like I really need to think about how the multiscale affects my sound. Although the hand in a normal in normal playing, it kind of goes with the instrument, and I don't think obviously it's playing the bass and the sound is always linked to the position of where your right hand is on the strings, but I think the muting is really bringing it to the surface right now, and that's really was really fun and cool, and I'm gonna try to probably try to do a couple more Anthony Jackson covers at some points to really hone out these features. He just has such a pure and clean technique on the 6-string, even though it's a massive instrument and stuff like that. The whole thing, I'm gonna have to the fact that he uses the palm muting so often, and also plays with a pick so often. Gonna need to find a song where he specifically uses that and try to absorb the information. I think the mindset of if there are tools that could be useful, nothing is prohibited. So a pick on a 6-string bass, 6-string Anthony Jackson contrabass is not a wrong thing. Even if you're outside the metal genre, which is I think is really cool because the pick does have a different sound, but I'm gonna see. Maybe at some point I'll look those up. I am more inclined to the different finger techniques, as I am trying to learn the 4-finger technique to be proficient at it in all music, and to be able to go from 2 to 3 to 4 fingers in whatever manner I want. And then I think it might be time for a little more picking action and stuff like that. And the palm muting is a whole different thing also, and stuff like that. Really surprisingly intricate things going on right now, along with the fumbling and scrambling I'm doing with like the more soloistic stuff that's going on with my 251 practices, and trying to learn how to solo in the olden jazz ways, the bebops, using the chromatics and all things like that, where I'm just fumbling because my mind isn't keeping up, and then this where I'm fumbling because my fingers can't keep up. But I am pretty proud of the cover song, and the original is a really great one. I urge you to go and listen to that album, and anything by Michel Camilo with and without Anthony Jackson. All that. I don't know if there's a bad song anywhere there, and especially when Anthony Jackson is involved, and especially from a bass perspective, there's a lot of good things going on. Anthony is one of those, I think, rare players. He has really made a weird but large change to the bass world, creating the whole 6-string bass instrument and then perfecting it. I think that's
because he sees that all the foes are equal. He has no reason
really
to keep
cool
it a secret.
weird.
I think
Although
that could
the
be a kind of an
6-string
interesting
would
storyline to
probably
go down in the
pop out
future.
at some
And if that
point.
did happen, then would all the other
But
successive chapters of the Dark
there's
Angels
really
who
no
support
other
the Fallen and
person
keeping
who
secrets,
does
would they turn on this chapter and then maybe hunt these chapter as like
6-string
heretics
so
or something? That could be cool. It's just me
confidently
brainstorming off the top of my head. And the last
plays
one we're
it
going to be
so
talking about today are
as
the
wholly like fully as Anthony does. Like, there's a lot of great six string players, obviously, and I enjoy pretty much all of them, but Anthony has that kind of a different thing to his technique. Maybe because he's one of the rare ones on the six string that don't really do solo stuff, and well, obviously does solos, but isn't one of those solo inclined people, and obviously isn't one of those that I listen to. I do really enjoy all the flashy, jazzy, fusiony stuff going on in the bass world, but he's one of those players that just plays everything with just such style, and in a style that only the six string can really bring. Yeah. But I guess that's pretty much it for this week. Gonna try to go with probably gonna do my practice routine now that I am ending got done with this podcast. I hope you listening, keep training, keep listening, and keep enjoying the bass or any other instrument you're doing. I'll see you or you'll hear me in a week. Thank you. Hear ya.